Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and highest honors to Yahweh, name of the Heavenly Father in Paleo Ancient Hebrew, to Yahweh Shai, and when you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, his name in Paleo Ancient Hebrew. Double honors to the Apostle Elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Salutations to you brothers that preach, teach, and prophesy this word, truth and sincerity as we put our lives on the line in these last days. Bring you this raw and this uncut truth. The brother Ariaga from the Grand Rapids, Michigan camp here with another nifty lesson. All right. To you few brothers and sisters that may see this, peace be unto you. Let's get into it. Going back into the headlines, this lesson will be centralized around World War III. All right, World War III is on its way, kicking off. There's a couple things that have taken place recently that have basically solidified the comprehension of these things happening, regardless of what they say, peace and safety, and they're signing peace agreements and ceasefires in Russia, with Russia and Ukraine, and ceasefires in the Middle East, with Israel and Palestine or Hamas. It's all BS. Okay. So we're going to take a look at a couple of news clips, pieces, fair use. I enjoy Democracy Now! All right, powerful information that comes through it. And I'm going to go through Democracy Now! A couple other news clips. We're going to get to the skinny of the situation. All right, without further ado, let's get to it.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
Fair use.
Yemen's health ministry says at least 53 people were killed and dozens of others wounded over the weekend after the United States launched nearly 4 dozen airstrikes against the Houthis. More than 30 civilians are reportedly among the dead, including 4 children and a woman killed when U.S. bombs struck 2 houses in Yemen's northern Sada province. The Trump administration said it began the attacks after the Houthis resumed drone and missile attacks on ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, saying they're acting in solidarity with Palestinians under Israeli siege in Gaza. A Houthi spokesman Sunday promised to continue the strikes.
With the help of God Almighty, the Yemeni armed forces will continue to impose a naval blockade on the Israeli enemy and ban its ships in the declared zone of operations until aid and basic needs are delivered to the Gaza Strip.
On social media, President Trump vowed to use, quote, overwhelming lethal force like nothing you've have seen before, unquote, against Yemen. A Trump administration official told reporters the attacks on Yemen might continue for weeks. The bombings come even though Congress has not declared war on Yemen.
And even though they have not declared war on Yemen through Congress, we are in a time when a dictatorship is coming to fruition, and trust and believe Trump is that dictator with his boy Elon Musk. Okay? These are your dictators. This is the system that has been established, and they don't need Congress to go to war anymore. Period. It's changing right before your eyes. Now, this came as of yesterday, the 19th. All right, the ceasefire has ended between Hamas and, Israel once again pulled out of the ceasefire just so they can continue the genocide on Gaza and the Palestinians, which America is a direct lifeline, let's put it to you like that, to Israel, which allows them their military power because they produce the weapons of mass destruction that they utilize to carry out what you're about to see right now. Check this out.
Israel's army has reinvaded the Gaza Strip, reclaiming control over the Netzarim corridor, which splits the besieged Palestinian territory in 2. Israel's also continuing to bombard Gaza by land, air, and sea for a third straight day after Israel unilaterally shattered the Gaza ceasefire Tuesday. Gaza's health ministry says Israel's renewed attacks have killed 710 Palestinians, including at least 95 people, since daybreak today.
That 700, look, 3 days. Okay. Including yesterday, all right, which was 95 people alone. You don't think that we involved in that war by giving them the weapons of mass destruction? Remember the whole weapons of mass destruction, bullshit that they were going through with Afghanistan and what have you? Well, America is the provider of weapons of mass destruction, which they're producing and, basically giving to the Israelis to continue that genocide, which in return is going to cause an uprising amongst the Arabs, right? Because they're not going to keep taking that. Okay, that's understandable though, because 750 in 3 days, women, men, children, that shit is crazy.
Renewed attacks have killed 710 Palestinians, including at least 95 people, since daybreak today. One of those was a newborn baby. Another 900 Palestinians have been injured, a majority of them women and children. Some of the wounded died due to severe shortages of medical equipment from Israel's total blockade of Gaza, which took effect on March 2nd. On Wednesday, Israeli planes dropped leaflets over Beit Lahia and Beit Hanun in northern Gaza and parts of Khan Yunis in the south, ordering residents once again to leave their homes. The order affects thousands of people who'd previously been expelled multiple times by Israel's army.
And I have to let this part right here play because the things they're over there doing is a direct reflection or falls on the United States, because no other country is openly attacking them outside of the Houthis in the Red Sea. Nobody else is attacking them but them, and it's because of fear of American retaliation, whether it be physical or whether it be via terrorists.
We were feeling safe. We couldn't believe we had just started having stability in our lives, and suddenly the situation has been turned around under the threat of the Israeli aggression. They forced us to leave Beit Hanun. I swear to God, we don't have any shelter except in Beit Hanun. We had just started having some stability in the 40 days of ceasefire.
The United Nations has condemned the Israeli killing of one of its workers Wednesday. 5 others were wounded, several severely, in the airstrike on a UN building in Deir al-Balah. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for a full investigation. UN official Jorge Moreira da Silva said the UN compound is located in a deconflicted zone, he said, well known by the Israeli Defense Forces.
In my opinion, this was not an accident. It cannot be categorized as an accident. It is at least an incident. What is happening in Gaza is unconscionable. I'm shocked and devastated by this tragic news.
A group of lawyers has launched a global coalition that'll seek to pursue legal action against Israeli dual nationals accused of being involved in war crimes in Gaza.
Now, war crimes, all right, because they have rules of engagement, or they have the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, and they also have, basically a NATO pact treaty in which if you act outside of that, that's a war crime, right? And to have a war crime means that you are at war. And the U.S. is directly linked to it. Check this out.
The International Center of Justice for Palestinians said they'll use domestic and international law against Israeli soldiers and others, quote, spanning the entire Israeli military and political chain of command, unquote. Meanwhile, the U.S. is continuing its bombing of Yemen. On Wednesday, Trump vowed to annihilate the Houthi group after it announced it would resume strikes on commercial targets in the Red Sea following Israel's withdrawal from the Gaza ceasefire. Israel said it intercepted a missile launched from Yemen earlier today.
Right. Intercepted. Look, man, there's a lot of fire going on.
U.S. is continuing its bombing of Yemen. On Wednesday, Trump vowed to annihilate the Houthi group after it announced it would resume strikes on commercial targets in the Red Sea following Israel's withdrawal from the Gaza ceasefire. Israel said it intercepted a missile launched from Yemen earlier today. Thousands of protesters across the U.S. and around the world are taking to the streets after Israel unilaterally...
All you do is see bloodshed, warfare, everywhere the United States touched down. Like, that's without a doubt, okay? All right, let's keep going.
Breaking news coming out in the past couple of hours as we have heard that things have erupted in the Middle East. We are hearing that the United States is preparing for potential conflict, even war with Iran. Warnings are being issued back and forth. And in the past couple of hours as well, we've heard that Israel has broken the ceasefire with Gaza. Attacks are taking place as we're hearing the hostages are not being released. A deal has fallen apart. And also there is conflict all throughout the Middle East. We're hearing Iraq, Syria, Iran, all over Yemen, and the United States is saying the Houthi rebel attacks that have been taking place in the Red Sea. Well, now the United States is striking back and saying the Houthi rebels are funded by Iran, and they will be holding Iran directly accountable for this. And like I said, we're expecting things to escalate. Now, let me share with you the latest headlines that have been coming out in the past couple of hours so that way you can see them for yourself today, March 17th, 2025. Take a look. Let me pull this up here 1 second. Trump sights set on Iran after U.S. airstrikes decimate more than 30 Houthi targets. So Trump is focused on Iran. Trump warns Iran will be held responsible for Houthi attacks from Yemen. So Trump says Iran will be held directly responsible. The U.S. president has threatened Iran while the Pentagon vows overwhelming lethal force against the Houthis in Yemen. Iran now threatens back the United States with devastating response. You can see this coming out today. Trump says Iran will suffer dire consequences for any more Houthi attacks. The Houthi responded by claiming a third attack in 48 hours. And ceasefires as well over as Israel strikes Gaza after Hamas refused to release hostages, officials have said. So like I said, a lot unfolding here in the past couple of hours. Today, March 17th, 2025, we are hearing things are erupting in the Middle East. I'm going to play for you the latest video footage so that way you can see it for yourself as we are hearing things are just erupting in the Middle East. And let me know your thoughts. Are we about...
Yeah, he's not going to show it. But, hey, man, it's going down in the Middle East, right? Once again, let's go. Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. The end's not yet. All right, but we are right here. This is how we can gauge where we are in prophecy. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, which we see continuously. All right, we can talk about the pestilence and the famine going on in Palestine alone, let alone what's happening in Sudan. All these are the beginning of sorrows. This is where we're at.
About to enter into...
I want to... That, fortunately,
U.S. threat could be getting very real very quickly. China issued this brazen warning overnight.
香港特区
No matter if they have 5 eyes or 10 eyes, if they dare harm China's sovereignty, security, and development interests, beware of their eyes being poked out and blinded.
It's targeted at the Five Eyes Alliance, made up of Australia, the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, and New Zealand.
Point. Australia is part of the nuclear-free South Pacific. And I think that this is actually a great value to the people in Australia. Now, armed with nuclear submarine to be produced locally in Australia, unfortunately, Australia and the Australians will lose that privileged status. Meaning, armed with nuclear submarine, Australia itself will be a target for possible nuclear attacks in the future.
Can I just stop you there? Can I just stop you there, Victor? Australia will be a target for nuclear attack from whom?
You do not need to know whom it will be, but as a logic, no one wants to target any nuclear-free zone, which now includes Australia.
Australia has said it will not be carrying nuclear weapons. These are nuclear-powered submarines, as indeed China has. But we're not talking about nuclear weapons. So how is it a target?
Listen, do you really believe you can trust what Washington or even what London say? I would say the watershed moment will be if Australia is armed with nuclear submarines to be locally produced in Australia. Australia will lose that privilege of not being targeted with nuclear weapons by other countries. And that should be the wake-up call for the Australians, the 23 million Australians. Do you really want to be a target in a possible nuclear war, or you want to be free from nuclear menace going forward?
It is extraordinary, isn't it, that you're talking about nuclear war and attacks on Australia. Now, do you believe what you're saying echoes what the Chinese government believes as well, that Australia is a target?
Listen, as a general policy, Australia is not targeted with nuclear warheads right now. Why? Because it is part of the nuclear-free South Pacific region. Now, if the Australian governments want to deprive that privilege from the Australian people by going nuclear with nuclear submarines, that's the wake-up moment for the 23 million Australian. They will lose that privilege of not being targeted with nuclear warheads going forward. As simple as that. Anything you do will have a consequence. This is the most profound consequence. And Australia and the United States and the United Kingdom are being accused of violating the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is a gross violation of international law, and it will again have consequences.
What does it say right there? It says, is this the Chinese warship that appeared near the coast of Australia? Ooh-wee. Hey, and China wasn't playing. It was like, hey, you make them submarines, we on your ass, man. Okay? They not playing. Australia, if you want to get the nuclear submarines, of course they're going to have warheads on it. Of course, the U.S. is going to position nuclear power or nuclear warhead armed, nuclear powered submarines being made in Australia. They're going to have warheads with it. Okay? That's just plain and simple. That's the reality of the war situation, because Australia is one of the allies of the U.S.
U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight because it's nature that we're talking about, and they will be dying. U.S. will have.
That man Zelensky out there losing his cool. I'll be surprised if they X him off the list sometime soon.
Very bad news regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. I need to explain it to you because you need to be prepared. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, yesterday pledged $2 billion of financial assistance, aid to Ukraine, as well as, here's the part that's concerning, United Kingdom ground troops to fight in the ongoing battle. United Kingdom is not the only country that has expressed sending ground troops to Ukraine. That would be disastrous, because then what could happen that people have talked about is Article 5 getting invoked in NATO, which states that if one country of NATO is under attack, they all are. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that would be all-out World War III if it was NATO versus Russia and other countries were forced to take sides. Now, the United States has floated around the idea in this new administration of potentially leaving NATO, so therefore, if the United Kingdom wanted to get involved directly, the United States wouldn't have to follow through on the Article 5 invokement. Now, I really hope that Zelensky does not take this deal, because the deal has been offered now by the United Kingdom, but it hasn't necessarily been agreed upon. So you just gotta, stay vigilant and really talk out against these things and say no more aid. We need peace.
Well, guy, we are not in a time of peace, right? They always talking about hopefully, and they all remaining, hopeful that this stuff doesn't take place when it's going to happen. It's already happening. Okay. What does it say? Let's go down to Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there's a season, and to every purpose under the heaven. Okay. It says a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. We are not in the time of building up America, making it great again. We are in the time of breaking down. That's why they're breaking down the government. They don't have to go to Congress even to go to war. They're doing whatever they choose to. They're breaking this system away. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. You think this is the time to dance? You think this is the time to laugh? Looking at the conditions of the things that have been showed alone on this lesson. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather some together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. You think we're in the time to get? Shit, we losing right now. Look at the prices of food increasing. Look at the price of everything increasing. Now the tariffs on Canada has caused them to increase the energy prices here in states like Michigan. A time to weep, it says a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate. Which one you think we in right now? Obviously, we in a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. This is not the time of peace. We are in a time of war, guy.
News, but that would.
God bless you. I want to tell you and your people, you're the ally I've been hoping for all my life. Not one American has died defending Ukraine. You've taken our weapons and you've kicked their ass. And I'm very proud to have you as our ally. So, what did I think? Complete, utter disaster. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again. He either needs to resign and send somebody over that we can do business with, or he needs to change.
All right, and that was, of course, that situation in the White House, which is gone viral.
God bless you. God bless you.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't have your playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing...
There it is right there. What was Zelensky saying? That, you know, y'all don't help with the war, Russia's going to come across the water and deal with them.
It's very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I answer?
No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks.
You haven't been
in this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone. We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You
we
voted
gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you met our brave, but they had to use our military. If you didn't have our military equipment, if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you,
just say thank you.
I said it a lot of times.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out of the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I
think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the guards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you take it so the bullets stop.
God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah, Trump was ready to smack shit. The J.D. Vance and Trump was ready to stomp Zelensky the fuck out, man. It looked like it, boy. Hey, Trump had that pimp hand steady. That hand, boy. Nigga, Trump was ready to reach across and slap the cowboy stew out of Zelensky, man. All right, but that's what J.D. Vance was going in. I mean, not J.D. Vance. This old devil, after doing all that praising, Senator Lindsey Graham, he did all that praising of Zelensky, and then 2 weeks later that happened, and 2 weeks later he changed his whole tune. You see what I'm saying? They don't want. Every other nation is making preparations for World War III, right? Every other nation is. They're telling that people get ready for war. Hell, even Sweden is doing it. But the U.S., they want to keep you underneath that same spell. Oh, no, it's all right. We're going to persevere. They want to keep you under that same American dream that you have to be asleep to live, period. Because if you are spiritually asleep, then yeah, you can live that. You can live that American dream. As foolish as it is, you can live that, but it'll be brought to an abrupt end. And when it does transpire, reality is going to cause a lot of these people to bug out, have heart attacks, die in many different ways before a bullet or a shell or a missile even hits them. All right, that distress, man. Obadiah 1:1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith Yahweh Shem Shai concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us rise up against her in battle. That's all these nations, man. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And that's Israel in general. That small nation is greatly despised among even other Edomite nations. Okay. What's I can't remember old dude's name, but he's one of the heads of the EU. He was like, hey man, the shit that these Israeli settlers is doing is war crimes. They let the Israeli settlers come over there and start killing Palestinians and taking a land and move right on in, man. They even caught, I was looking for that earlier, they even caught one of those devils in the act of snatching up some of the Palestinians' children. But when they came back home and saw what was going on, they saw them taking their children and they took off running, man, and left the children there. Yo, man, what was you finna do with them kids, man? Yeah, we know about your history, how you get down. You know what I'm saying? Them children they was saved. Look at how they do the Palestinian prisoners, men especially, right? They raping them and beating them up and sodomizing them. What you was finna do to them kids, man? It says, "Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen; thou art greatly despised." Everybody hates Israel. It says, "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee," and those are Edomites over there. Don't get it twisted. Them Israelis are Edomites. It says, "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the cleft of the rock." Cavemen, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, "Who shall bring me down to the ground?" That's that pride, Edomite pride. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though they set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. Right? And that space program with that Starlink, damn NASA, they just trying to Starlink everything up now and move NASA out the way. If these came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Esau don't leave one. It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are the hidden things sought up? They've been exposed on every level. What does it say? First Thessalonians, the man of sin to be revealed. Hey, their history is coming out. That's why they want to change the education system. That's why they want to do all that they can to hide their sins, man. Because they're ashamed of that wicked past that they have. They are very ashamed of it. And this is one of the reasons that, they don't want these public education programs to continue. Because if they did the way they were, one of the things in U.S. history, you had to teach them about slavery and about all of the treaties that they broke with the natives and South Americans. And they're ashamed of that, man. That shameful spewing, as the scriptures say. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Who's the confederacy that they have? Going back to Psalms 83rd chapter, right? Where it's talking about all these different nations, starting with Edom on down to the Arabs, to Elam, which are the Indians, all right, not Native Americans, but the Indians from East India. It talk about all these different nations being confederate against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Natives. Well, them same confederate nations will become confederate against the U.S. They're allies. See, the shit that they're doing, that they're allowing Israel to do, is habitual line stepping. Okay? And with that habitual line stepping, that's pissing off the rest of the nations. They like, damn, man, they going too far. What you think they gonna do? It says, all the men of that confederacy are brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat the bread, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Okay? There is none understanding in this devil. They don't have a spiritual understanding of all this stuff that's taking place. All they know is they vidi vidi vici, right? Came, I saw, and I conquered. Obadiah 1:8, shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Hey, your day is coming. The Heavenly Father is about to put an end to this kingdom that you have established, okay? And that rulership is going to switch and transfer hands. That's what I'll show you in just a second. It says, and the mighty men of Teman shall be dismayed, to the end that everyone of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. And that's the ultimate. I mean, in the kingdom, ultimately, they're going to be cut off by slaughter after 1,000 years of slavery. Because you have to pay back. You got to put into this spiritual W2, baby. This is Psalm 75:5. Lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. It says, for from promotion cometh neither from the east, nor the west, nor from the south. But the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. All right, and he's putting down this nation. He's putting down the rule of Esau Edom. Okay, and this is what we're seeing happen in 3D right before our eyes. For in the hand of Yahweh there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth it out of the same. But the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. We drunk it. We had to drink this captivity and this slavery. And that's what we've been in this broken condition since. But now, the Most High is making that power transference. And as that power transfers from Edom to the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Natives, then the whole world will fully understand who the Lord's chosen people are. Until then, you're able to lead that lie and, have people thinking that those are the real people when they not, man. It says, come near, ye nations. Isaiah 34:1, come near, ye nations, to hear and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear and all that is therein, the world and all the things that come forth of it. For the indignation of Yahweh is upon all nations, and his fury upon all armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. And that's coming in this final world's war. When in the middle of it, man, the Lord's going to pull up with them chariots, a multitude of flaming chariots. And he's going to make a swift end to all of that. It says, their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted, or shall melt with their blood. Does that sound like a day of peace and love and happiness? Like they like to teach y'all that the day of the Lord is going to be like they teach you in church. It says, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. That's a thermonuclear bomb going off. There's going to be many of them going off. China said they basically going to shoot them they're going to basically shoot them at Australia, because they're over there manufacturing these nuclear submarines for, so they know what's up. It says, and all their hosts shall fall down as a leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. The Most High is about to open up a can of whoop ass on this place, right? And all these nations are about to feel it, because judgment is about to take place, all right? And there's nothing that all the wishful thinking in the world can do to to stop it, because this is prophecy in full motion. Keep your head on a swivel, stay circumspect, pay attention to the news. This is third world wars right here. And I pray you will edify. Till the next time, I bid you shalom.